All right, I think this
Go.
is working. So we're just going to start. Welcome to episode one of the 2.0 era of NOLA Nerdcast. I'm Finn, the NOLA Nerdcast, and I am joined by Steph from Boss Rush to be my debut guest as we talk about PAX East 2026. How you doing?
Hey, I don't even think I've had quite the honor even at my own Boss Rush network. Much love to Boss Rush. So I am so happy to be here for many reasons. There's not enough people in my local circle that care to listen about PAX, but and also just something awesome to talk about. So I'm happy to be here.
And so give us a brief breakdown. Like, who are you as a person? Why did I choose you as guest number one?
Oh goodness, I'm not sure about that part, but hi, I'm Steph, aka the Mad Pharmacist. So I'm a pharmacist by trade, but that's not my passion. My passion is in, I guess the modern term is content creation, but I liked OG content creation. Like I wrote books, I love to draw, um, over time, I decided to leverage my hobby with video games and enter the Boss Rush network. So I started off as a writer, worked my way up the ranks. I'm now a copy editor for the writing side, and then I am now VP of media relations for the entire network itself. I used to be a regular host on Boss Rush Network. I kind of stepped back a little bit so I could focus on just dev interviews, and I'm now making regular appearances on the Games Cast, all part of Boss Rush Network. I'm throwing a lot of terms out there, but Games Cast, like our specialty for there, is just kind of I think what you're thinking about is just having fun chats about what we've been playing and what we enjoy in the game in our hobby. So
And shout out to Boss Rush because I met you guys several PAXs ago, and you all have been lovely, and it's just been fun catching up with you guys every PAX that we meet up at. So, and this PAX was no exception,
it's been quite a few years. I like collected all my pin I was putting all my pins away obsessively, and I'm like,
right?
"Oh my gosh, I've been here for been there for a few years now."
It's been fun. So, I mean, thank you very much for being here. The answer of why is because you're awesome. That's
Oh.
but so and that's the gist of what we're doing today. We're talking about PAX East because we both just came from there. And fun fact, not a far travel for you because you are a Boston person.
Yes, I am a local. I mean, if you're asking any Bostonian, they'd be like, "Yeah, you're not from Boston." But anyone outside of Massachusetts, I say I'm from Boston. So
Yeah,
I
that's
grew
fine.
up in Mass, so I make it a point to never miss a PAX East. I've been to PAX West once. I like Seattle. It's definitely rainy and gloomy like it is over here, but sometimes it's just easier to go to a conference where you live at. So
Right. And you were actually on a panel about with a couple other Boston gamers about what is the most Boston game. So
heck yeah.
what did the answer end up being? What game was voted most Boston?
It's really funny. We were just pitching serious ideas and silly ideas. A couple of the obvious ones came up, like Assassin's Creed 3, although not the best Assassin's Creed. It did take place like the Revolutionary War, Boston, New England
Adjacent. Yeah.
area. Yeah. And then, Last of Us, because it took place in Boston for part of the game. Um, and then we would joke around with some games like Road Rage, Simpsons, like anything to do with like angry driving. And we were narrowing it down. I think Disco Elysium was actually another serious choice. I also threw out a Cthulhu game only because it took place in like the Depression era Boston, and you're an investigator who's an alcoholic. Then we had the audience pitch in, and the last audience member, because it stuck out to me, recommended a game I've never heard of, and I still need to play it. And it's called like either a blatant disregard for gravity or like some sort of disregard for gravity. And the way he explained it is you're leaping off of a building, and all you do is like you flip people off on the way down.
Okay. Yeah, there you go.
And so the audience decided, you know what? That's the most Boston game because we're just angry people flipping others off. And that's true because the first day back I commuted to work, I flipped four people off on the
There
commute.
you
So
go. Well, you know what? I have a late entry for you. I'm going to go with the original NBA Jam because you could play as the Celtics with Larry Bird, and I feel like that doesn't get much more Boston than that.
No, that's pretty Boston, so I will definitely give that the honorable mention for sure.
So I want you to start us off. So it's going to be pretty informal, and it's going to be kind of back and forth. We all played a lot of games at PAX, and I kind of just wanted to highlight those games we played. Like talk about a game you played, what you thought about it, your early impressions, so to speak, if you had any, and then we'll just kind of bounce off each other and until we get through all of our PAX games, and that way we can have a nice little snapshot of all the games we ran up to. And if we ended up talking about a game that we both played, we can both just jump in
I
instead of
yeah, I
like double
definitely
dipping.
I definitely think that'll be the case. Before we do that, were you on a panel or were you just
I was.
supporting? Yeah, you are. So tell us about that
Okay.
one.
So I was on a panel about licensed games, like the history of licensed games, and talking
Mm,
about what why they became were so prevalent in the early days of gaming,
yep.
the hard steep drop off and like the resurgence it's found in different types of gaming, whether it's mobile or the collaboration aspect, the Fortnite aspect, where instead of making your own game, you just license your IP out to a different game and have that show up. But we kind of went through the gamut of like the NES era of Capcom making Disney games all the way up to where we are now, and it was nice. It was a good discussion. We decided
Nice.
Kingdom Hearts does not count as a licensed game.
I could see that because they're using licensed characters, but it's not a licensed game because it just went
Correct.
its own
Yeah.
way.
It's a weird asterisk, like gray area. But
Yeah.
Cam, I don't know if you know Cam Hawkins, one of the most premier Kingdom Hearts fans in our
Mm-hmm.
industry. Uh, he decreed it was not a licensed game, so I feel like guy got to respect the expert on that one.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
No,
there we
that's a
go.
really great topic. I grew up in that era where there were a lot of licensed games, and looking back on it, I'm not really quite sure if they would fall under high quality, but it's stuff we grew up with, and it's
Most that's the thing, right? Like because it was easier and cheaper to make games, so you could just
yeah.
throw out a serviceable game based on a Nickelodeon cartoon or something and have an audience of kids and not have to waste 5 years and $100 billion on it. But we don't live in that era anymore.
No, the stakes are too high, the budgets are too bloated. So, but anyway, enough of that.
Yeah,
But
right.
see, we not only got to attend PAX, but we were special guests.
We were. Yeah. Some might say I was too special. I don't know.
Yeah, you had like how many badges? Like three?
I call it the trifecta or the triforce. I was an exhibitor, a special guest, and media. It's a fun little thing.
Someday, man, I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get to your level.
You know what? I believe in you. You got this.
Thank you.
So,
All
okay,
right.
please start us off. What is a game that you played at PAX? I'm pulling up my list right now.
Sure. I'm gonna start with one. I would think that you would have played this one, but we'll see. And it came out today, so that's why I'm going with it first. It's Fishbowl.
Yes.
I miss my friend's studio. So Fishbowl was one of several games under PAX Rising, and for those that don't know, it is a select group of devs and their games that kind of basically stand out um per the PAX
Yeah.
team. um and it's pixel art, and overall it is a narrative game about a girl dealing with the loss of her grandmother, so grief, hope, she has dreams. And it's kind of like a slice of life game. It's very surreal because eventually there's like a talking toy fish kind of
Yeah.
thing. So anyway, I played it. It was hard for me to fully pull myself in because it's so loud and it's
Right.
hard for me to focus, but I really appreciate the level of depth and emotion that that demo gave me.
And it's impressive because, like, you touched on that a little bit, but that genre of game, that type of game, is hard to demo successfully
Yes.
in a show like environment, right?
Mhm.
There are just some games like visual novels are a perfect example where you need to be able to sit down and like invest some time to get engrossed in the
Mhm.
story. And Fishbowl is one of those. It deals with grief really well. And I was surprised that it came across so positively in that brief glimpse you got into it. And then I was even more surprised to find out that, hey, a week later, boom, here it is. Have fun.
Yes, yes. It almost reminded me, and I know the story is not the same, but maybe it's like the feeling I get when playing it. A Space for the Unbound,
Oh,
uh,
you know what?
published by Toge. Yeah,
Yeah, that's, I hadn't made that connection. That's a solid comparison
yeah,
because yeah, it's surreal. It deals with
mhm.
heavy topics that you don't really see. And, the more you delve into it, the more you get out of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can
Even
see that.
visually too. So even though the story is different, but it just
Right.
I feel like there's some parallel themes there. So
Yeah.
I love it. I didn't download it yet, but I did mark it as kind of like my top games.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the developer wasn't there, and I feel really bad not knowing who was there to oversee it, but I know Kim Chica or Jenny
Yes.
Wyndham also kind of helped talk about the
Yeah,
game.
they were one of the people helping out, which I thought was cool because makes sense. Miss Wholesome Games herself being at Fishbowl's booth.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so what's one on your
No,
list?
I'll keep it at the PAX Rising booth. It was a game called Canvas City. Did you end up
K-
playing that one?
I did not.
Okay.
I did not make as many of the games there as I'd like, so tell me about it.
So they had me sold the moment they told me, it sometimes gets reductive to describe a game as it's this meets this. But
Mm,
sometimes if all you have is 20 seconds to catch someone's attention,
yeah.
that's the best way to do it, right? And they were like, hey, what if we took XCOM as a tactical RPG
Hmm.
and merged it with Jet Set Radio's super vibrant look and the fact that you're, fighting big corporations by tagging art and being like a graffiti artist and being anti-establishment. Visually it's exactly that. Like they nailed it. And then the gameplay, like there's no violence. You're not fighting or shooting anybody. You're
Hmm.
tagging people with spray cans and like chaining maneuvers and moving around the battlefield by doing, you spend an ability point to go up a ramp, but you gain one to come down a ramp. And you can grind on rails. And so the maneuvering works really cool in the strategy RPG setting.
Hmm.
But it's just the vibes of, hey, what if we took XCOM and made it Jet Set Radio Future, which is such a distinct visual
Hmm.
aesthetic, and it worked.
Oh, nice. I definitely have to like look that up because anything in the style like Jet Set Radio, like that's gonna stand out. That's pretty awesome.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, just visually it popped, and
Hmm.
the gameplay was fun. Like even for a demo, it gave you the tutorial and let you play one stage, and that was enough to get a feel for it. And I believe they said it was fairly early in development. So I'm excited to see where it goes. But yeah,
Nice, nice. I got one more, well, like one and a half more for you for PAX Rising. Just a quick shout out to Jigrift. I did not play it, but I watched Pat from Boss Rush play it, or I was with Pat and I watched someone play it, so it kind of counts.
it counts.
I was doing like a speed run on Sunday for all the ones that I missed, so I kind of at least wanted to go. Um,
That's nice. That's
yeah,
dedication.
Jigrift. It reminded me of like super early N64 or PlayStation graphics. You're a frog and you're on this island, so it's also got Wind Waker vibes because of it. And it's mostly platforming, but the larger scope is that the island is broken up to different puzzle pieces, literally puzzle pieces. So you have to like put once you earn these puzzle pieces back, you put them together and then you explore more of the island. And then if you really want to get into it, you can put the island back together inappropriately, like, puzzles have unique like, they
Right.
only fit in one place, right? But the developer said you can actually put it together incorrectly, but still discover things because of the placement.
See, I did see that one being played. I also did not physically play, but I did. I watched someone putting two island pieces together, and that's
Mhm.
all I saw. So I didn't actually know it was a platforming game, but that's awesome.
Yeah. I gotta say, and this is where, like, I wish I had more time because there's so many games on the exhibit
Always.
floor,
Yeah.
and I passed it up initially just because I walked by, I'm like, "Oh, it's a retro looking frog like dude jumping around," and I'm sure it was fine, but it didn't really make me stay. And then when I heard about it more, I'm like, man, wish I stopped by to play it. But
That yeah. That reminds me of I heard a game that a lot of people mentioned. It was like Crystal something. It was like kind of like a Tetris
Mhm.
style RPG thing, but I
Yeah.
just saw it was like I walked by and saw like what I saw was like a Tetris adjacent game. I was like, eh, I have other places to be, and then I find out that I was a fool for missing out on it. So
Yep.
it
Yep.
just is
But yeah,
what it
that
is.
that was my actually that's the two halves. So just one more quick shout out
Go
at
for
the
it.
PAX Rising is Throwback Jai Alai
That
Heroes.
was the next one I was going to talk about. So yeah, let's
Perfect.
jump in.
You can probably give more details because the line was so long. I didn't get to play it, but I spent a significant amount of time talking to the developers, so I still count it. Um, love the 90s retro vibe, the style, the designs. The fact that they are looking into a sport that maybe outside of the originating country and Florida isn't as popular, and the unique aspect that they're only releasing it on a old-fashioned arcade machine. So take it
Yeah.
away.
It's I mean, that's you at first you walk up and you think like, "Oh, that's a really cool aesthetic to like present your game as an
Mhm.
arcade cabinet." But then you find out that, "Oh no, it's only going to be an arcade cabinet." And I think
Mhm.
that is absolutely fantastic. It played really well. It's very simple. There's a button to jump and there's a button to throw, and then you move and you can change the angle and change the power of your throws, but it's very 90s esque inspired, very Florida coded. And it's like they said that right now there's 10 cabinets in the wild, and they've already had plans to sell a couple more. And currently living in Florida, it's kind of fun because one of them is only an hour away from me. So
No
and
kidding.
what's cool is I did get to interview them, so that interview is going up tomorrow.
Okay.
It's seeing it in action is so cool. It's just watching how fast paced the games are too. Like it's the first 2 3 points, and I'm not going to pretend to know much about the game of High uh, but it worked really well in this context, and the novelty of it being arcade only, I think, was really cool.
Mhm.
So good shout out to them.
Yeah, and apologies if I mispronounced it. I should know it was Alai, but,
I only know that
um
because there's a local beer called High.
oh, no kidding.
That's it.
Nice. But, I at first, I mean, I think it's a great idea. I was a little concerned on how successful that would be, but that's me coming from not being in the business. So when I spoke to the developers, they said that arcades have been on the rise since COVID, which I did not think that would be the case, but they're
I
the
did not either.
experts. So I'm like, "All right, well, let's go." And I do think that as a fan of arcades myself, I do think for the arcade business, it's nice to introduce new games, right? Because we have all the retro games, which is fine. But especially if you wanna hook the younger generation, it's nice to introduce something fresh.
Yeah,
And so I really appreciate that, and I sincerely hope that they thrive.
I hope so too. I think it'd be fun to watch them start popping up everywhere.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, so my next game is I mean, I'm going to briefly talk about it. I'm not going to really count it because I try not to play the big games at the show because those are usually known quantities. You kind of know where you're going to end up with like a Nintendo game or something, right? But I still
Oh.
wanted to try Pokemon Champions because it was there. And
Ooh, tell
unlike
me
the other,
about it.
yeah, because unlike the other games like the Super Mario Wonder and Pokopia, those are, you can play those, right?
Yeah.
This was something that's not out yet. And it's exactly what you'd expect it to be. It's a next gen Pokemon Stadium style game with
Mm,
um, just really pretty and in depth battle mechanics. Apparently, they had a behind closed scene doors that kind of showed off more of the content about the game. And from what I heard from those
uh-huh.
people, there's a lot more to it than just the battling, which I think is going to go a long way to making it, survive longer. But again,
Interesting.
people love to battle, and with the way switches, the fact that we're finally in a generation of Nintendo where the online works properly,
Mhm.
uh, I think that that would go well. But yeah, I mean, it's exactly what it is. I won my battle, which I think is truly what matters. I
Yeah.
am a Pokemon champion. But yeah, I mean, Pokemon Champions was solid. It's just I got there during media hour so that I didn't have to wait in the forever
Mhm,
lines.
mhm.
Uh, and it was the first thing I technically played. So go team.
No, definitely, I'm glad you spoke about it because this was the first year I didn't hit up Nintendo for any way on any way, shape, or form. I mean, I knew Champions was there, but I was like, "Alright, whatever." Do you happen to know if it's a stadium-like game, do you need to, not for this demo, but would you need to have like a your own Pokemon? Because I'm thinking old school Pokemon
So
Stadium.
so
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about. Yes, you can import your Pokemon from Pokemon Home or however you want to do it,
yeah,
but you can, like, the way they even did it for the demo is all the Pokemon are available as rentals. So you can actually just build your own team. They just won't be your
yeah.
team, like handcrafted with the moves you want and stuff like that. But you can still basically rent a team, build it how you want, and roll with that. But
Mm.
you're always gonna ideally want to take your import your characters
Right.
from, yeah, but yeah, you don't need to,
Ooh, nice,
which I think
nice.
is good for the accessibility aspect of it. Not everyone's going to have a built-in stable of tournament ready Pokemon.
Exactly. It's been a while since I've done that.
So
All right. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out what direction I want to go. I'll go into a bit more of like my favorite ones. So, Grave Seasons.
yep, let's go.
That's a top one for me. So I hit up Blumhouse. I remember them tell like the devs telling the people in line like, "Oh, it's over an hour from here." I'm like, "Holy crap!" Um, I I have not been into a farming sim in a long time. I don't count Pocopia necessarily. It is a cozy game, but it's not really a farming sim. Before that, probably Harvest Moon 64. I have Stardew Valley. I never played it. I don't know. I just whatever. But the premise of Grave Seasons is you arrive at this town, and not only do you start a new life with a farm, with all the farming mechanics, fishing, mining, whatever, you also need to solve murders.
Yep, it's such a cool
S-
concept because I'm
Mhm.
the same way. Literally, exactly what the last time I really fell in love with one was Harvest Moon 64.
No
I don't
kidding.
count Pocopia, but it's not a genre that's normally for me. And I
Yeah.
think what makes this so cool is the same reason Pocopia resonated, which is it's what if you take this genre of game and give it like an actual plot that engages you? Because I think it's really cool that it's like, hey, what if we took a farming sim, but also made you have to hunt down a supernatural serial killer? And
Mhm.
I don't know if they told you this, but I found out that apparently there's like six or something potential serial killers. So no one that you might not have the exact same experience as your friend because what your serial killer gets rolled as when you start a game is going to determine how they attack, who they attack, like the way the plot
Mhm.
develops. And I think that's so cool.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I love it because that adds a bit of mystery to it. Doesn't, I don't think it could ever really truly be spoiled for you. And as you alluded to, how you act or don't act throughout the playthrough will impact the rest of the game. Because Pat and I asked, like, well, what if someone just wants to do the farming sim part and just not do anything? They're like, oh, it something will like
Yeah.
it'll
They're like,
impact
oh,
it.
we planned for that. Don't worry. Like, it in it the aesthetic is kind of is just like modern pixel art style. Uh, the demo they dropped us in was a very brief slice of it, so you don't really do much of the farming setup stuff, but it ends in such a way that you're like, oh, okay, this is
Yeah.
interesting.
They sliced up the demo well. I think as you mentioned earlier, there's some genres that are hard to demo, and I do wanna talk about the art super quick. Like, I know that modern pixel art is kinda all the rage now, but it was one of the first games that I actually stopped to, like, talk to the dev about, and I said, "Those water effects are amazing, man." Like, I've never seen pixel art waterfalls look so good.
They really do. Like, and just yeah, I don't know. Grave Seasons I think is going to be a big hit when it drops. Cuz it's got, even if it just has the Blumhouse effect where it already has that prestige factor, right? Like Blumhouse chose Grave Seasons to be their and this was apparently their first time ever exhibiting at PAX East. Like Grave Seasons is such a big deal for them that they decided to actually become an exhibitor for the first time ever. They didn't have to do that, but I think
Mhm.
it's a good sign for the game that they
Yes.
felt strongly about it.
Yes, and for anyone else that needs any more convincing, whenever you talk to a character and the character art pops up, it's more like a hand-drawn style, and they draw them, like, very sexy looking, kinda like Hades,
I
like,
was gonna say
very
very Hades-esque or
yeah.
Date Everything.
Date everything! Yeah, 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 yep. And that and a mechanic for investigating murders is you have a crowbar and you can break into people's houses if you want, but you
Yeah,
might also piss them off. Just I
yeah.
thought that was hilarious.
And also I love just last thing I'll talk about is, the way that the story starts is you just got out of prison, and out of nowhere, your cellmate decides to will this farm to you. And that's how it starts. Like that's why you're at this farm. And so I feel like your past might become a factor in the plot. Who knows?
Yeah, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So I'm looking forward to it. I believe it comes out in the middle of August.
Yeah,
So blink
it's
and it'll
not
be
too
here.
long. Exactly.
All right,
Um,
what's next for you?
Next for me, this is a short one, but I played it. It was at the Polish conglomerate booth. It was another genre mashup that I wasn't expecting. It's called Moldwasher.
That's on my
Yeah, all right.
list.
So it's like, what if we took Power Wash Simulator, which has blown up as a very popular game, by the way, and combine it as with the game Unpacking, where like a story gets told in a very like subtle, organic way as you progress through these. You play as a little piece of sushi cleaning
Yeah.
mold off of, like in the demo you play in the kitchen, so cleaning mold off the fridge and stuff like that, the sink. And as you do that, like more stuff opens up, you get to unlock better tools. Like it's a very natural progression system, but it was just cute. It was cute as hell. I didn't know what to expect from it, but when I sat down I was like, this is not normally my thing. But then 20 minutes fly by and you're like, I forgot how zen Power Wash Simulator like can be. You just it ticks that OCD box in my brain where it's like I gotta complete everything.
Yeah, oddly enough, especially for me that it has kind of OCD brain too. I'd never gotten a power wash simulator, probably because I just go
Don't
power
do it
wash
unless
my
you
own
want to lose all your
house.
time.
Exactly. But then I'm like, how can I pass up playing as this little sushi? And I do like it's just different enough. Not a lot, but a little. Not just the aesthetics. You can find CDs, music, stickers to decorate your room. Excuse me, but also the mold can grow back. Like the
Yeah.
last part where they reveal like the Steam QR code and like please wish list. I'm like, God, it took me the longest to get the mold off because it kept growing back. I'm like,
Yeah,
damn it.
all the different little mechanics where they had also like that one level where they had the fly that would just like
Yes.
trail more.
I know. Oh my gosh, I was so pissed off at him. So, you know what? Little gem of a game. I was really happy that I played it. And fun fact, it is made by a single dev from Belarus.
I do love every time you find that out. Like it's just what a labor of love.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
your turn.
Ooh, what do I want to talk about now? How about I think that you have on your list another game from the same booth, so I'll pick this other game, and it is oh wait, hold on, did I not write? Oh, Paranormal Activity Threshold.
I was too scared to play it. Tell me about it.
So, well, it's funny you said that because maybe like 3/4 of the playthrough, I tapped out and made Pat finish the rest of the demo.
I am not a big horror game fan. They scare me so bad. I am such a baby when it comes to scary games. It actually is hilarious for all my friends.
You know what? I am too. And I have to thank Celeste, who used to be on Boss Rush, to get me into scary games a little bit, but more for like ones that actually have good stories. And I've learned that if it's a good horror game, they have incredible stories. I played
Yeah.
Soma, Silent Hill, Resident Evil, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, all right, Paranormal Activity. I was willing to give it a shot because out of all scary movies, Paranormal Activity, at least the first couple, were the first scary movies I've ever willingly watched as an adult. So I'm like, okay. Um, yeah, it's Paranormal Activity. You play well, you start off playing as a couple that just bought their starter home and
There
it's
it
a
is.
mess. Yep, it's a mess. Oh my gosh, we're gonna clean it up and we're gonna document everything and take a video. But then they discover this mysterious box in between the wall. What could that be? And as soon as they open it, I believe it jumps forward to present day, and now you're a detective and these two people are dead in the house And so as the detective, you're trying to go around the house and then weird stuff happens. And around that time, that's when I'm like, Pat, play the rest of this game. I don't want to see that head peeking around the corner. Um, but hey, man, for a scary game, it's good. And I think it's probably going to be better than some of the later movies because the later ones weren't
Hmm,
that good.
that's fair. And also,
Um,
it's like you said, Dread XP just does really good work in that genre. Like all their games
yes.
might not be straight up scary, but they all have like a horror, creepy tinge to it.
Yes, I do think Paranormal Activity might be like one of the more bigger projects that they're doing. Um, Trying to think of other fun facts. So I got to meet the creator behind it,
Nice.
Brian Clark, and it made sense. His project before it was the mortuary assistant,
Okay. So they've already
and
worked with Dread before.
yeah, and both had to do with demons. So I'm like, I kind of saw like the DNA there. I was too scared to play the mortuary assistant. I just watched Markiplier do Let's Play. But I told him about my history of like watching the mortuary assistant, all that stuff. First of all, just great interview, great guy. He put a lot of care into it. Um, Paramount like actually let him kind of create and establish lore for the game for an already
Nice.
established movie franchise. So I think that's cool. They gave me a copy of a super rare games physical copy of the mortuary assistant, and I made him autograph it for me.
That's awesome. Good job.
Yeah.
As well you should
Thanks.
have.
So release date TBD, but if you like scary games, it's looking pretty good.
Um, so like you mentioned that there was a game from that same booth that I probably have. I'm going to talk about the Secret of Weepstone from
Let's
Dread
go.
XP, which was probably one of my favorites of this show. And I had seen it at PAX West last year, but I didn't get a chance
Mhm.
to sit down. And I don't know what they did in the past year, but the polish on this demo was really strong. Uh, it's what if you took a dungeon crawler RPG, decked it out in a black and white aesthetic reminiscent of the original Dungeons and Dragons like art module, like the art in the module books,
Mhm.
and had it run not on 5e like Baldur's Gate 3, but original D&D like the 70s first edition rule set. And I got to tell you, it is uncompromising. It does not care about your min maxing or your perfect game. And I think one of the coolest things it does is he wanted to not reward failure, but disincentivize that gamer knack of, oh, I lost a character, there's permadeath. Let me
Mhm.
reset a save. He didn't
Mhm.
want that for you. So every time you lose a party member in this creepy castle, you gain a boon to the rest of your party. So characters dying actually makes you better at the game. And I think that's a really, because my first instinct when I lost someone to just a devastating critical fail nat
Ugh.
one, uh
Oof.
I was curb stomping this fight, and then I nat one, and they got a nat 20, and they criticaled my guy and one shotted him, and I was like, oh no! But then I got a really cool bonus, which is once per combat, and you can re-roll any roll. Uh, to whatever you want it to be. And I thought, that's a big deal. So anyway,
Yeah.
it's aesthetically phenomenal. I didn't know how an all black and white game could look,
Mhm.
but they also make it like really cool where like things will flash blue if they're um like interactable, or they'll flash
Mhm.
red if it's important, and stuff like that just really worked well. And I really thought it was cool to kind of delve back into that era of D&D where it was a lot rougher and a lot
Mhm.
like less polished as the rules go. I loved it. The dev was incredibly kind too.
Yeah, Sean and the writer was Hunter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to those two dudes. Unfortunately, we had to divide and conquer. So while I took Paranormal Activity, Brendan took Secret of Weepstone, which was like on my list of if I had the time I would play. But like, yeah, the graphics are what drew me in, and I kind of knew the basic premise. And I'm not an expert in D&D by any stretch of the imagination, but I did get I did try a campaign with some friends before they disbanded, and I actually really ended up liking it. So the fact that they kind of went with kind of the older rule set and stuff like that, like I would love, like I will seek this out when this game comes out and play
Well, I've got good news for you. Apparently the demo is now on Steam.
it. Okay.
And
Wow.
it's a pretty quick demo, like I'd say 30 minutes, 20 minutes total, and you're, at least if it's the same demo as PAX East, you're done. But yeah, give it a shot. It's super cool.
All right, perfect. Yeah, no, highly recommend. I know Brendan really loved it too, and they geeked out in the conversation.
Nice. So what's next on your docket?
A couple quick ones. So I played. We also tackled the soft source booth, Pat and I. So like he played the scary games, I played the rest. So I played a couple games there. So I'm gonna speed around this. The first one at that booth is Spook-A-Boo.
I don't think I'm
Uh,
familiar with that one. Break it down.
well, it's not a game that I would normally play. I'm a single player kind of gamer. So
Big same.
Spook-A-Boo is a multiplayer game that's a mashup of, like I know you said earlier, like I don't want to, belittle what it is, but it's like Overcooked meets Ghostbusters slash Luigi's Mansion. So
I'm pulling it up right now, looking at it. That's exactly what it looks like.
right? It's chaotic. You're running around. You're trying to find these ghosts of, avoid like getting trapped or tricked or cursed, and then you trap it like Ghostbusters. So, although that not would be what I would typically get into, I actually had a wonderful time playing it. So, I feel like if anyone likes multiplayer, it is a worthy game to check out.
It looks
Uh,
like exactly like the kind of thing that's tailor made to be streamed with friends.
yes.
You know what I mean? Like I don't, movies have like Oscar bait, and I feel like video games have Twitch bait, where they're
Yeah.
like, we don't care if our game looks good. In fact, the jankier the better. We just want people to stream it and have ridiculous antics
Reactions.
online. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Do you wanna go? And then I can
No,
just
no,
keep.
keep speed running the rest of the ones from
Sure,
that booth.
okay. So another one, this one's gonna be super short because I was not good at it. Bloodbreaker, Labyrinth of the Witch. It is a love letter like I've ever seen one to old school Castlevania. Graphics, gameplay, except you're a vampire. So
I did play that one last year at West.
yeah.
That was
I mean,
hard.
it was yeah, it was brutal. Like, I didn't really get frustrated until I hit, like, the first boss, and I got my butt kicked because, like, the boss was in the middle, but there's, like, these 2 enemies hovering above you, so you gotta, like, deal with them, and oh my gosh, I couldn't get past that. I apologize. I said, like, "I'm sorry, I'm just not a good gamer."
No, I mean, here's the thing, like, it is a difficult game because it does lean very heavily into, like, the NES, Castlevania, like, aesthetic in terms of it's just a hard game. They throw a lot at you, and I don't know if it was a design choice or not, but I don't the controls weren't as fluid as I'm used to in modern
Mhm.
style games, so I think a lot of the deaths I took in that were because I thought a jump would take me one way, but it didn't, and so I collided with enemies more than I should have.
Yeah.
But I also feel like that's a skill issue. And the more I did eventually beat the demo, but I will not fault you for not also doing it because it was rough.
I appreciate it. I think, like, I got nervous because the guy that was sitting with me and watching me, he was super supportive. Goes, "Oh, I struggled with that too. Oh man, that's so hard." And then the other other one, Madeline, she's great. Like I love her a lot. She reaches out for us for stuff. She looks over, she goes, "It's not that hard." I'm like, "Oh
Oh,
no."
she trolled. She was messing with me too when we
Oh
played.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The last one is probably my favorite of that booth that I played, and that's called Grim Trials. Sorry for all the comparisons, but a lot of people would probably liken that to Hades. Speaking of Hades, it is a roguelike. Go from one room to another. You can pick from a set of rooms. You defeat the enemies of the room, and you'll probably get a boon from it, right? So, like, the overall premise is very Hades like, but a lot of the upgrades or things you could do you can get really into the weeds. Like if you want to be a sicko, I think this is a game where you could definitely go sicko mode. And then during your off time, you're at an academy. Now, because I was playing a demo, I didn't get to like go in depth what the academy is. So there just seems to be more stuff to do when you're not out there um, going on a run. Graphics, the art style is nice. The music was bopping. So I think, if you like Hades, you like that kind of stuff, Grim Trials is one to keep an eye out for.
I'm not gonna lie, looking at it, anyone would be hard pressed not to claim that it's inspired by Hades, at
Mhm.
least with the art style. And that's
Yes.
the thing, like that, there's no problem with that. In fact, one of my favorite things about the indie game scene is whenever there's a success, getting other companies like takes on it, like the evolution of the concept. So some of the best games are born from people iterating on a game that already was a success.
Yeah, and I definitely want to tread that fine line when I say that because I know some people are like, oh, it's just a copycat. There's a difference between a real copycat versus being inspired by. And this definitely is more like it inspired by. And I know, well, not I know, but just from the little demo that I played, I feel like it has enough of its own personality. Um, but yeah, so
Yeah, I mean, I would agree.
all right. So that was my little batch from Soft Source.
Okay. Um, so my next game is probably one of my other favorites, and it was one of my
Ooh.
favorite games that has been announced in a while. And it's been a while since it was first announced. It's called Replaced. It's a
Replaced. Okay.
it's a 2D two and a half D style like cyberpunk side scrolling beat 'em up type game.
Ooh. Okay.
Um, the combat's very Arkham inspired, where you're chaining together hits, and it turns almost into a dance as you're like going from hit to dodging to countering. Um, but the style is so sleek and so just, oh my god, it was I was so excited to see it on the floor. It was at the Atari booth because they apparently just
Ah.
bought the publisher of the game, Thunderful
Thunderful?
Games. Yeah.
Okay, I'm pulling it up
So
now. That looks really good.
it's so cool, and the demo was, I don't think anyone knew was supposed to be there, and it was just there.
Mhm.
They like the booth only advertised Bubsy and Jay and Silent Bob's Beat 'em Up, and then Replace was just, hey, surprise. And I was so excited, and I'm so happy that it was as good as it was, because a lot of times after a long period of waiting on a game, it kind of builds up into an unrealistic expectation in your head. But the demo was so well paced. It looked so sleek. It was so visually arresting. And I found out that it's coming out later this year. Like it's kind of like Grave Seasons, where you're like, oh, it's almost out. And that's awesome. I think it actually might be in like the next month or so.
It says April 14th.
There we go.
So,
In 2 weeks. That's crazy pants to
holy
me.
cow. Yeah.
Very excited.
And there's a
So,
demo, so I'm gonna have to play the demo.
oh, play that demo. It'd be good.
See, I like this. We're going back and forth, and now I'm like, now I know I'm getting the insight on some of the games that I missed out on.
Yeah, and vice
Nice.
versa. That's awesome. Yeah, no, Replaced is was easily one of my favorites on the show floor. Yeah, good times, good times.
Nice. All right, next on my list. Which one? Which one? Nekomancer of Nowhere.
Okay, I saw that one
So
on the floor. Did not play it.
yeah, it's as you can imagine from the play on words, Nekomancer is a play off necromancer and Neko cat. So you're a feline necromancer. From the outside, it definitely had a very simplistic look to it, right? It's kind of like a cutesy isometric art style. You go from room to room per level, and it's basically puzzle solving. You cast these spells by drawing a certain shape to go from living world to dead world and vice versa. You can do things in one world that affects where your positioning is on the other world. So that's the basic puzzle premise. There are some enemies, they emit some sort of aura that's a shape. So in order to defeat them or resurrect them, you draw the shape, like something like that. And at the end of a level, you meet the people that you've resurrected from the dead. I'm like, okay, that's kind of cute, whatever. And the music was fun. I talked to the developers and I got some added information And I think that is what's going to keep me looking out for this game. So the first cool bit is there are 9 levels and they're all inspired by the 9 levels of hell or 9 layers of hell. So there's like theming here going on. And they said that throughout the game you can choose to resurrect or not resurrect some of the enemies, which will influence how the game plays out because they want to question, if you were to bring people back from the dead, are you really doing a good thing? Are they really gonna be happy to be alive? They might not be. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, there's some, like, existential, like, life questions here in this game." So, I really appreciated the level of thought that went into that, so I kinda wanna go and play the whole thing just to see what I could discover.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Go team. Um, the next one I want to talk about is one of my biggest surprises of the show.
Ooh,
And
okay.
by that I mean one of my favorite things about PAX is stumbling upon an indie game that you never knew existed. Right.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
this one was tucked away in the Yukio booth, which had
Uh-huh.
a staggering amount of games at it on the booth. Like every kiosk was a different game.
Yes.
Um, and I briefly talked about it this, so I know you aren't familiar with it. It's called Inkblood,
Inkblood,
and
okay.
it's a murder mystery detective style game. So if you've played Curse of the Golden Isle
Mm.
Return of the Obra Dinn,
Yep.
um, it's very similar in that regard, where you are presented with this murder or this death or
Ooh.
this tragedy, and you have to use your abilities and your tools in the environment and piece together what happened and then submit what you think happened in the order it happened. And so in the demo, like, it started off pretty easy. You have this little magnifying glass that can basically like look back in time, and so
Mm.
you see, but it's all done in like a very grimy art style that works really well with the vibe that they're going for. And so the first thing you're shown is like this dead carriage driver, and you have to figure out who murders him, and you find out that it was like a bunch of cultists that did it. And then the second murder, you have to find out like there's four people involved, and you have to figure out who is the murderer, who was killed, who escaped, and who's just unconscious, and figure out the timeline and piece together who's who based on clues given from the evidence and what you see out in the environment. And it was fascinating. It was so
Mm.
fun, and it made me feel very smart, which I know is going to come and bite me in the ass, because clearly that was the easy stuff designed to get you hooked. And then later cases are going to make me feel like a big dum dum head. But I don't care, because it was really cool. And I love the other games that it gave me the vibes of, and stuff like that is just fun. And I love games like that, and I'm happy that there's another one coming out, and I hope people find out about it. Like, I feel like once it drops, like, that might be a game I stream. Like, I'm very
Mm.
bad at streaming. I always think to myself, I should stream this game, and then I don't, because life. But I feel like this would be one I would want to, because it's the perfect game that I feel like people should know more about. So Inkblood, good times.
Hey, maybe you are wicked smart and you're just,
Ha.
discounting yourself.
Oh,
No, I'm looking it up too, and I do like the art style. I'm not really quite good at describing what it is. So y'all have to just look it up. Ink Blood. That looks fantastic. I'm gonna click the wish list button right now.
yeah.
So I have to sign in again. Dang it. No, there is actually a lot of games at Yu-Gi-Oh! Booth that I like. I wish I could have covered, and yeah, so this is good.
And it's coming out
Um,
this year. That's all we know. Go
that's
team.
awesome. Go team.
All right. So I know we wanted to keep it to around an hour. So this is our more or less 10-minute warning.
Okay.
But I think we're making good pace. We've been covering a bunch of stuff. So let's keep that ball rolling.
Yeah, I only have a couple left. Maybe you played a bit more, so that's fine. I can let you kind of roll with it. So, rounding out like one of my last two, it's Ecumene Aztec. I feel really badly. I don't know how to pronounce that first word.
Sometimes that
It's
happens. How do you spell
E-
it?
Ecumene. Ecumene Aztec. It's from the Games from Poland booth,
I
and
see
I
it.
thought, yeah. I got to sit down with the CEO of that the developer development studio and play the game. So it takes place during the Aztec times. Unfortunately, you have been selected with your family to be sacrificed to the gods. Your son's killed first. It's very graphic. Um, then you're about to be sacrificed, and then the Spanish conquistadors, they come and they start attacking the village. So it's very bad but good timing. So the demo starts right in media res. You are running from where you were supposed to be sacrificed to get out of dodge. So I liked how you start off right in the action. Graphics were actually pretty impressive for a small indie studio. There was a lot of details that I actually wanted to stop and look around, but that resulted in me getting murdered. So I had to start over a couple times. After escaping, it was like a jungle cave area. Again, looked gorgeous. I panned around for quite some time. Um, the combat it's still a work in progress, and I know I read that this game just got out of its first round of play testing feedback, so I know that they are still working on it, so I'd hate to just say this isn't good because this is not the final product yet. But I did kind of struggle a bit with the combat and kind of getting used to how to swing. But the good news is the enemies took so long to hit me that I did pretty okay. But it's the details that I liked. You hunt and gather multiple weapons. I was curious, like, how did you kind of get all the information about the Aztec culture? And they said that they hired a consultant, and the consultant actually also narrated the beginning of the demo, and that was in the native tongue.
That's awesome.
So I like stuff like that because I like seeking out any games that are culturally rich that I might not be as familiar with, and as long as they, rely on use the reliable source, I think they should be okay. So I'm gonna keep an eye on it. I'm curious to see where it'll go. They're actually still working on a game mechanic that was not available at PAX, so
Okay,
TBD. Yeah.
nice. Um, the next one I guess I'll talk about, it was also at the PAX Rising booth. It was called Gnaw.
Ooh, okay.
It was a dinosaur Metroidvania with very vibrant, like Saturday morning cartoon graphics, um, and some very silly writing. Like the dialogue just had me smiling, but like it played like a more action focused Metroidvania game. You play as a dinosaur whose primary combat abilities involve biting and then eating stuff, and that's how you regain health. You fill up your stomach and you can convert that back into health. You use your jaws to like swing on things to like get around the environment. You can roll up in a ball. Apparently later on there's customization for your characters. Like at one point you get a fedora hat, and because you play,
Nice.
it's like it takes place in this world where it's like dinosaurs live there, but it's, if they, as if they were people. So there's
Mhm.
cities and stuff. And um you fight the boss. One of the boss fights in the demo is a giant overgrown lab rat that got mutated. And it's silly and fun. And a lot of times Metroidvanias try and take the inspired by Hollow Knight approach,
Yeah.
right? Where um there's not a explicit story so much as there's just a lot of lore to uncover, like the Dark Souls approach to
Yeah.
Metroidvanias, where and that's fine. It's cool. It's fun to delve into that and watch theory videos and figure that stuff like that. But also, it's fun to play a Metroidvania that has a more concrete story, like Nine Souls or this Gnaw game, where the writing is tight and focused, and you get a narrative out of it without having to consult a bunch of YouTube videos.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I love the way you described it, and I pulled it up. I definitely get that like cartoon aesthetic, and like the font of the dialogue looks like it's ripped straight out of a comic book. And I can appreciate a more tighter and upfront narrative because I used to be huge into Metroidvanias and I just got burnt out on them. So anything that can kind of pull me in. This definitely looks like one of them. I love it.
It's still one of my favorite genres, and I know it's been done to death in the indie scene, but damn it if I don't still love each and every one that come across, even if they're just okay.
Heck yeah.
There's just something about it, man. I don't know. I love them. What else you got?
All right, I got one last one that I played, and it was a
Perfect. And then
group
I'll just
game.
rapid fire.
Yeah, no, take your time. Oh, and my cats just kind of broke through the garage. So that's cool. Um, we tried out some of the games from the X-Men Maximum Collection at Limited Run.
Same.
It definitely feels like an old arcade game, but
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun. And yeah, I mean, I guess I don't have too much to say about it. I just think it's great that the company is porting or reworking with the Carbon engine these games. Like a lot, a lot of them were only available in arcade cabinet, and then bringing them to life. So I had a lot of appreciation for it, and it was just a lot of good old fashioned beat 'em up fun,
And
except for the Silver Surfer.
yeah, well, even Silver Surfer benefits from this because they added a lot of quality of life improvements,
Yeah.
like the ability to like feed extra quarters into the game, have the rewind function,
Yes.
which makes games like Silver Surfer actually playable, um, and not just impossible and rage baiting. But I love it because couch co-op, online co-op, all these games that were unavailable to gamers for so long, all in one big
Hmm.
collection, and I think that's really cool.
Yes.
So
So.
limited run games. So the next ones I'm going to talk about, I'm just kind of go. So the last one I want to talk about a little more in depth is called Welldweller.
Okay.
So this is a Metroidvania game, but it's made by the same developer that made a previous Metroidvania game that was a big surprise to me called Crypt Custodian.
Huh. Okay.
So it's a new game called Welldweller, but instead of a top-down Zelda 1 style game like Crypt
Hmm.
Custodian, this is a traditional side scrolling Metroid
Hmm.
style game. And of all the Metroidvanias that I played at PAX, this one definitely showed that it came from a seasoned developer that knows the genre. It
Ooh. Okay.
looked gorgeous, but more importantly, it controlled so tightly. And even in the brief demo, they were showing a lot of like platforming aspects that I think really benefit from the fact that you have to have good controls. And yeah, when that demo ended, I did not want it to end, which I think is a very big hallmark of a good demo. Like I
Absolutely.
think it's Welldweller, it was Secret of Weepstone, and it was Replaced were the three demos where I was like, oh, I didn't want this to end. Like Grave Seasons, I felt ended on purpose because like it was that's the hook. They wanted to
Yeah.
be like just give you that taste. But the other three games were like full on like play the game, right? And then it ended. I was like, no, don't stop. But yeah,
Hmm.
um, then I played another Metroidvania game which did not control as smoothly, but I love the aesthetic and the vibe of it. It's called Being and Becoming, and it takes
Okay.
place in an underwater world where you play like you're a diver type of a look. Um, that one visually was really cool. I played Secret of Crystal Mountain. It was at the PAX
Mm.
Rising booth. It's actually like a throwback to like the N64 style era 3D platforming action games. You play as a squirrel, and you have to climb this mountain trying to
Hmm.
deliver a letter. You get a sword. There's a lot of puzzle solving, very Zelda inspired. Um,
Nice.
Secret of Crystal Mountain, I think, was really good. I played Cursed Chapter Dawnthief, which played like a very fast paced, speed induced side scrolling platforming game. You're just running through levels, fighting bosses. You have this little mace that lets you like climb stuff. Very, very tight. What I played was very well done. I played Bubsy 4D at the Atari booth,
Ooh,
which
nice.
it's a 3D platforming game. It's very reminiscent of the N64 PS1 era where Bubsy, kind of had his fall off with Bubsy 3D. Like, Bubsy, I believe, started on Super Nintendo and Genesis, and then
So,
went 3D, and then we never saw him again. And so
yeah.
I like that they called it 4D because it's just a sequel to the 3D era. Bubsy's a take it or leave it. You either love or hate his vibe. He's very like they're leaning very hard into that era of like I'm an animal with attitude. like put it on glasses and making finger guns. I don't know. It was fine. I liked it.
Mhm.
Um, I played backyard baseball, which
Oh, yeah.
legitimately was very good, but I had never played the original backyard sports games because I was a little older than that, but I knew how important it was for so many people. So it was fun to get in on the ground floor of this reboot. And a brief aside, because I know you're a big fan, I got you some swag for it. I wasn't able to go back and get the actual merch. They never brought it. They never showed up again.
Yeah,
It was
no, that's
stuck in
fine.
customs.
I'm glad you brought it up. I can't believe I forgot that. But yeah, I did play that demo, and yeah, I was constantly hovering that booth like, "Did you get it yet? Did you get it yet? Did you get it yet? Did you get it yet?" Um,
I
yeah.
like that the little swag bag they gave us came with a little juice box and some snacks. And I was like, that's perfect. And I just love the story that the CEO of this company that's reviving the franchise is able to do this because she hired a private investigator. She was a teacher, and during COVID, she realized that her kids were just playing violent games. She's like, "What happened to the game I grew up with in the '90s? Like, where's your backyard baseball?" And so she was like, "Who owns that?" Hired a private investigator to track down who owned the rights, bought the rights off of them, and is now bringing them back. And I just think that's such a labor of love for
Oh
that,
yeah,
and it's so cool.
that's
And then the game
insane
itself was
initiative.
fun.
Yeah.
The demo was a home run derby style mode. And it was simple and fun, and I could see why so many kids fell in love with that franchise.
Yeah, it
Um,
was a lot of fun. Everything looked refreshed and bright, and all those crazy pitches were fun.
oh yeah. One I want to shout out to is I played a game called Bylina.
Okay.
It was one of the Stride PR booths. It was right next to Dreadmore.
Okay.
It played like a more um, not like Diablo's a kind of like isometric action RPG, but it's very frenetic and fast paced. You're clicking, clicking, clicking. This felt more structured and purpose. Like your movements had weight to it. It was very difficult. I was getting my ass kicked so hard. And then the third time, I finally kind of got the handle on the parry and the dodge system. But it if you play Diablo, then you have an idea of what to expect. You're thrown into
Okay.
this hellish world. uh, you have a character archetype class. You're going around fighting monsters in real time, collecting loot, solving quests. And then it ended with like this crazy descent into this cult like cathedral. And I thought it was cool. Yeah, Bylina was a fun game to play. Almost done.
No, take your
One
time.
game that
I
I was
just feel bad.
hoping I liked more, but I didn't because the dev was there and he was so earnest and he was taking all this
Um,
feedback so seriously. He was a single developer from Asia. It's called Lunarium, and the
okay.
concept is so cool. You play as this dark themed character and a character of dark, and then you have like this character of light following around you, and she powers up your attacks. And again, it's done like the Diablo style, like isometric top down fighting characters, but the controls I thought were a little too clunky for the precision that they
Mm-hmm.
were requiring of you. um, and they threw a lot of mechanics on you in rapid succession for a tutorial that I kept like by the time I was trying one thing out, they were like, here's two more mechanics to remember.
Oh.
And I feel like that might partly be my fault, but like they wanted you to parry attacks and then counter with something, but the parry was the timing was so slim, and there was a little lag to the inputs. And so I walked away a little frustrated with it, but visually just
Mhm.
gorgeous. Um, I played Lunacid, which was a
Mhm.
N64 PS1 aesthetic kind of Skyrim type game with a
Yep.
more horror build. It was at
Mhm.
the Yukio like scary
Mhm.
side of the booth. It was fine.
Yes.
I didn't have too much time to delve into it. And then finally, I played yet another Metroidvania game called Bolt and Whalington, where you play as a cat mechanic in this anthropomorphic world, but you also get a mech suit. And so you can swap out between them, and different things are accessible at different times based on whether you're playing as the cat mechanic or riding your mech suit.
Mhm.
Very heavy story focus from the part of it, and that demo was chunky. I played 30
Really?
minutes of it and I was nowhere near done. And I was like, I got to go to my next appointment. But
Oh,
like, heck
wow.
yeah.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, that was everything I played at PAX. Uh, there was a lot of fun games, and there was so many I didn't get a chance to get to, and that's a hallmark of a good PAX. I think. I think, for me at least, you said you've been to one PAX West. PAX East has always felt more indie focused because a lot of the big AAA studios don't go to PAX East
Yeah, they
for
go to
two main
West.
reasons. It's always way too close to GDC,
Yep.
and it's a lot cheaper for them to go to PAX West because they're already all in or close to Seattle.
Yep.
So like PAX West, you'll get PlayStation, you'll get Xbox, you'll get Capcom, you'll get Bandai Namco,
Bandai,
you'll
yep.
get all those big AAA studios show up to PAX West. PAX East, you don't really get that. You'll get Nintendo. And we this year we got Nippon Ichi Software, which was the first time they'd gone to East in a while. But a lot of times you go because you play these indie games, and it's always so fun to speak to these indie devs, to play these gems that you may have never heard of, talk to them, and feel this passion that you only get in the indie industry. And I love it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, yes, I do get excited if like I get to play Legend of Zelda
Oh, Echoes of Wisdom.
Echoes of Wisdom before it came out. Like
Yeah,
that's memorable. But overall, I do feel like the most exciting, memorable experiences tend to be with discussions with indie devs, like you said, especially on the ones that you discover kind of just by accident or exploring. There's a few um, that have happened like that, and they've become like some of my top games ever. So no, that's a great list. I personally wish I could have played more. I don't even know what the heck I was doing half the time. I just remember it took me 2 full days to recover from PAX.
nice. That's a hallmark of a good trip.
It
But yeah,
is.
I just wanted to say thank you, Steph, for being part of episode 1 and the PAX East recap episode, which just happened to be the same thing.
Hmm.
Because every time we meet up at PAX, it's always such a delight, and just having you talking to you about how we kind of share the same um, core values when it comes to gaming. Sometimes it's just nice to have you on.
No, it is, and it's a great discussion. I love, sharing our thoughts on games we both played. But now I also have a list of recommendations based off of what you talked about. So it was great, and it's hey, any more FaceTime with you is great because I know sometimes our meetings, although awesome, can sometimes be brief. So
Yes,
I'm not going to try and bully myself back onto your podcast, but if you ever want me to hop on, I will be
Bull.
right there.
I'm very easily bullied. It's fine. Internet high five. Yay, go
Yeah,
team.
yeah.
But no, awesome. Thank you so much. And why don't you tell people where they can follow you?
Sure. So again, I am part of the Boss Rush network. Put in network because if you type in Boss Rush, you'll find like
Of course. Yeah.
yeah, Boss Rush network. But I am at Klimov underscore author under most social media. KLIMOV underscore author. You will find me writing for the website a lot, and also appearing on the Boss Rush Network Gamecast podcast.
Yay. Awesome. And as always, I'm NOLAnerdcast at NOLAnerdcast on everything because consistency, you got to love it. Uh,
Mhm.
and my name is Matthew, but I go by Finn. So if you hear me refer to myself as either, they're both correct. Uh, Most people know me as Finn. Turns out there's just a lot of Matts in the world, and going by Finn is simpler.
Mhm. And
But that's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I guess this is I have someone recording an intro and outro like stinger
Oh,
song for
nice.
me,
Oh,
but it
cool.
won't be on this episode. But just pretend it's
Aw.
here. You know,
Dun, 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 dun.
do do
Yeah,
do
we'll
do
just
do do. Yeah, yeah, whatever. Thank you so much, and have a great night.
bye.